Right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and begin. So to start off with, let's go with some introductions first. Today, I represent a gentleman of the Compagnie Franche de la Marine, which, as you can tell by the butchered French, means the French Marine Corps here at Fort Niagara. We are the ones who built that castle in 1726, and we are also the ones defending this fort in 1759 from the British incursion. And to do so, we're given one of these. Now this, ladies and gentlemen, is a flintlock musket. So quickly raise your hand if you fired a flintlock musket before. Not a one. There's one in every crowd, I always ask. So even if you haven't, don't feel too badly about it. You've definitely seen these things fired before. I know this to be fact because they're all over movies, TV shows, video games, etc. So I'd be more surprised if you never saw one of these things go off before. What I'm trying to do here is not necessarily show you anything new or groundbreaking, but I do hope to demystify the way this works and the reasons we use these weapons the way that we do. Let's start with all things do as the basics here. When I pull the trigger, this piece of sharpened flint should flip forward and hit this piece of steel. That should make sparks. Those sparks should fall on top of a trail of gunpowder right here at the side of the weapon. That should burn like a fuse into the barrel, which should light off the powder in the barrel, which should explode, which should generate enough force to push a musket ball this way out the end of the gun. Who's with me so far? All right, everybody, what did I say a lot in there? Should. I want everybody to conduct a little experiment with me right now. I want you to look between the castle and the tree out into Lake Ontario. Even from this distance, you should be able to see in crystal clear detail the skyline of Toronto, Ontario Province, Canada. Can anybody see that?
Nope.
All right, well, this is bad news for us because what that means is there is a wall of humidity between us and them. Anyone who has any familiarity with black powder will know that any degree of moisture in the air is not good news for us because the powder will get wet. If powder gets wet in any degree, it stops working as intended. If it's a full-on monsoon, your black powder turns into sludge, runs out the end of your gun, you've got nothing to fire. If it's a little humid, your powder could actually brick up, turn into a solidish sludge, and either slow burn or not burn at all, and jam your gun. If it's snowing, it might be just too cold to make the spark contact with the powder in time. If it is too windy, your powder will blow away and you'll have nothing to fire. If it is, let's say, I don't know, what is today, a Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday-ish. That's not a real good day either. So, what we're dealing with today, what I'm trying to say anyway, is that we just went from a 98% success rate to a 94% success rate, just based on this humidity. So if this doesn't work, don't blame me, blame Canada. We'll get this working eventually. Now that's not the worst of it. This is also just a musket. It is not a rifle. What is the difference?
Rifling.
Rifling! Rifling, ladies and gentlemen. That just means the spiral grooves cut into the inside of the gun barrel meant to catch onto a tightly fit projectile and make it spin. With enough spin, the ball will stabilize in flight and fly straighter or farther. But with a musket, there's no such spiraled grooves. It's a smooth pipe of metal with a loosely fit projectile. So instead of catching onto anything, that ball's just gonna bounce out the end of the barrel and fly off wherever it wants past about the 100-yard mark. Is this a sniper's weapon? No. Are you going to use it as a sniper's weapon? No. So ladies and gentlemen, let's make things worse before they get better. Rifles do exist in 1759. So if rifles do exist, and they definitely are more accurate than muskets, why are the regular soldiers of Europe being equipped with muskets instead? They're cheap, exactly. You see, ladies and gentlemen, this is 3 times cheaper than the rifle. So if you want more boots on the ground, not just for one battle, but for your entire armed force to spread across the world, you're going to go with the cheaper option. But there is one thing that this gun can do better than a rifle. What would that be? Bayonet. Say what?
Bayonet?
Both take bayonets. What makes this unique? What was that? Charge.
Stab.
You can, because they can both take bayonets, you can do that with the rifle too.
Flint.
Say what?
I said flint.
Both are using flint. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now wasted 15 seconds. In that 15 seconds, I could have already loaded and fired my musket. If we were talking about a rifle, we'd need to go about 4 times longer before a rifleman could get a shot off. So what I'm saying is, this musket is not only cheaper, but it is 4 times faster to reload and fire than the rifle is. So, what you are left with is a cheap option, yes, but you're definitely going to outspeed your rifleman opponents. So, here's how we will, how do I say, counter the bad stuff with the good stuff. Let me see if I can find a perfect living example. I might not be able to hit that gentleman walking across the path over there with a shot from this gun. But I guarantee you, if I gave each and every one of you a musket, which we could afford to do because they're so cheap, and you all maintained your shoulder-to-shoulder line across the width of this quadrant, and we all fired at him at the same time every 15 seconds, I don't care how inaccurate your weapon is, one of you is hitting him, and the rest of us are making the whole quadrant around him inhospitable for human life. So what I mean by that is you can't miss. Accuracy has been completely removed from the battlefield equation. Now the only thing that matters is firing first, firing faster than your enemy, with more people than your enemy, over a wider area than your enemy. If you do all these things, you will at the very least have a massive advantage, and at the very most, be assured of victory. So let me show you what this looks like on a one-man scale. I'm going to withdraw a cartridge from my cartridge box. This basically contains all I need to load and fire this weapon. Powder, ball already inside the paper, and the paper shell itself. I tear that open with my teeth, pour a small amount of powder into the side of the weapon. The rest of the powder and the musket ball and the paper will all be sent down the barrel of the gun with this ramrod. This step is important. If I do not ram the paper down on top of that loosely fit musket ball, it is going to roll out the end of my gun before I have a chance to fire it. So now that my ammunition is secured, all I need to do is arm the weapon, present towards my foe, and on try number 1, 3, 2, 1. We'll try it again in a second. There we go. Many things could be wrong, ladies and gentlemen. The first of which is my flint fell out. But the second thing could be that it is just too damp. Another thing could be that the flint is dull. Another thing could be that the seal is dirty. I am going to try everything I can to make this gun work at the moment. So, bear with me. Number 2. Oh, and you think that's bad. I want you all to internalize what just happened, right? That noise, that smoke, that fire, that was 2/3 of a full charge of powder with no ball from one gun.
Wow.
The battlefield is not 2/3 of a charge of powder with no ball from one gun. It is full charge with ball from somewhere in the thousands of weapons, all going off at the same time every 15 seconds, plus your enemy, plus support, plus artillery. This battlefield is deafening. It is blinding. It is smoky and confusing. And somebody who's dressed in your uniform, madam, with your gray top and your camo pants and your drab shoes, you blend in with the powder magazine, let alone the battlefield. So I ask you, do you want to blend in on this battlefield?
No.
No, why not?
can't tell your enemies from your friends.
Aha! And it is an oft-forgotten fact, but a fact nonetheless, ladies and gents, that camouflage works both ways. So, if your enemies cannot see you, advantage, neither can your friends who are 200 yards to your rear, formed up in battlefield-spanning lines, all firing blindly into the fog every quarter of a minute. So if they can't see you to avoid you or hold fire, what happens to you?
You die.
You get shot. So what we have to do instead is be bright, yes, but also distinct. Take a look at my uniform real quick. Excuse me. Not only am I wearing white, but I'm also wearing the blue boot cuffs. I've got these blue breeches. I've got the black hat with the gold lace. That's very wide and gives me a very unique head silhouette. And I've also got this uniform tailored in a way that gives me a distinct hourglass silhouette as well. So all of that combines to demonstrate that I am a French Marine. The French Army doesn't look like this. The French artillery doesn't look like this. The French cavalry doesn't look like this. We all have our individual uniforms that not only can we be seen and safe, but we can be recognized for not only what side we're on, but what job we're supposed to be doing on the battlefield as well. Now, speaking of command and control, as it is known, I've got one last weapon to share with you. What is this? Bayonet. You all know its name. Tell me what it does.
Stabs.
Stab, stab, stab. Is that the general consensus? What if I told you that the right way to use a bayonet on the 18th century battlefield is not to use it at all? Hear me out on this bold claim. It looks like a melee weapon. It could be used as one, but its first and foremost function is as a psychological weapon. You are using this not to stab your enemy per se, but to make your enemy think you are going to stab him if he does not get off the battlefield as quickly as you want him to. Do I have another? Perfect. Two more living examples right over there by the cannon. I don't think it takes a mathematical genius to realize that we outnumber them as a group. This is also just about the perfect distance to execute the bayonet charge too. So what we are going to do is, once we are sure we outnumber our enemy, we are all going to fix bayonets. We're going to present the bayonets towards them and power walk at a brisk pace towards them. Now, if we all do that in a line, demonstrating our superior numbers and waving this bayonet in their face, we can cut quite an intimidating spectacle. And we want to wave this in their face so they know what's coming at them. This is no ordinary blade, ladies and gents. This is by far one of the most terrifying weapons of the 18th century battlefield for three reasons. What's one of the three things you notice about this that would make it so terrifying? Sharp. Sharp, is it? Absolutely razor sharp. I'm lacerating the heck out of my thumb right now. Look at all that blood. Ladies and gentlemen, the blade is dull. And that's what makes it dangerous. If you stab somebody with a sharp blade, it makes a nice clean slice that can be easily stitched up with a needle and thread. If you stab somebody with a dull blade, that rips and tears, making the wound ragged and more difficult to follow with a needle and thread, and biologically speaking, also frays more nerve endings, which means that this is going to be excruciatingly painful.
Wow.
What else do you notice about this blade? We just went over how dull it was.
It's wider as it goes down.
Triangular. What is the significance of triangular?
More surface area.
It's what?
More surface area as it goes in.
You guys are brushing up against the full concept here.
Make a bigger hole.
Still brushing up against it. Ladies and gentlemen, my source for this next one is my wife, who's a wound care surgeon in training. She has verified to me that even in the modern day, three-sided wounds are next to impossible to seal shut. So if it's impossible in the modern day, imagine the poor beleaguered company surgeon in 1759 trying to deal with 50 such wounds. For all intents and purposes, the wound is unstitchable. And what else do you notice about the blade? It's not very clean. Between the rust that, trust me, we clean these things up all the time. The rust reappears within hours. And the fact that you can fire through it and soak the blade in black powder smoke. And the fact that you're carrying it at your hip in a scabbard that collects the dirt of the day makes for an injection of infectious materials should this bayonet strike home. How effective are the cures for infection in the 18th century?
Not good at all.
Not very good, if there are any. So, ladies and gents, what you are threatening your enemy with is an unstitchable, unhealable, excruciatingly painful, infected mortal wound. Does this sound like a good way to kick off the middle of your week?
No.
It's very laughable, I agree. So, everybody, what are you going to do when a larger force of gentlemen charges at you with bayonets?
Run like heck.
Yeah, I'm gonna run.
Run. I like that answer. It's the right answer. Let me back you up with a little bit of incentive.
I'd rather get shot.
Historically speaking, if you turn and run from us and you do not turn back